Hi there, my name is Trolls and welcome to yet another episode in Soundpaint. In today's video, we're going to go deep into our pop collection. This is a particular collection of high-end production kits, really designed and aimed towards like top 40 music. This library here is sort of inspired by a very danceable, disco-like dynamic duo that you may know of, and really investigate their music and then try to figure out how can we bring something new to the game. So these are very high-end production kits. They're all laid out in the keys here in 5 octaves. You got bass drum, hi-hat, snare drum, claps, all the usual stuff here. And also velocity based, meaning that you get 127 velocity layers. So that's very different from traditional sort of single shot loop kind of sampling. These are very playable kits, even though they're synth based. So you'll see when I play the kits here that they're very dynamic and sort of almost like acoustic or analog in their nature. Anyway, let's just get us out of it here. And they're so sweet. These are synth pop kind of kits across the keys here. Some more acoustic, some more synthetic. Let me just play with the 5 different kits in their sort of core condition. When you look here at the keys on G and A, you get an additional bass drum. This one is drier, whereas the normal one on C is a little more roomy. So you can control the length of the bass drum by these ones. You also have alternate snares or percussion sounds here on A. Here's another one inspired by Phil Collins in the Air Tonite. If you want the true in the Air Tonite, we actually have that in a separate Soundpaint library, namely our Orange CR78 over there. That's the true Phil Collins sound, ran through a specific chorus pedal as well. But this one had a little bit of that sort of in the Air Tonite vibe too. Here's another one. This one is a little more sort of filmic pop ballad combination. I love this one here. I could play that one forever. If you notice here in our rack time module, I'm controlling the time of the percussion samples. So we normally think of time stretching for sort of longer phrases or whatever, guitars or strings, but they're really awesome to use on drums as well. Like for example, this snare here, it's like super tight when the mod wheel is down. But as I move the mod wheel up, it's gonna get longer and longer. Almost like you can hear the noise of it. So really a difference between like, and that combined allows me to sculpt the drums more. I have 127 velocity layers, but I can also use these sort of time stretching tools to create more sort of gut in the sound. Like sometimes it's super cool when you have a clap that you want tight and then all of a sudden make it long, like. And even the bass drum is also time stretch, but listen to that clap here. There's like, I sometimes hear samples as speaking to me, and I tend to gravitate towards the ones that have the most sort of vocal quality. This one has something particular going on, like wow. But if we sort of follow the traditional draft funk style, if you will, it's pretty simple production. Normally it's more like a 909 kind of hi-hat. And then very, very simple sort of drums. That's the velocity layering. If I go up here, for example, take some of the toms in the upper octaves here, we have additional sort of auxiliary percussion. Here, you'll notice when I play the keys, And I can also play with time stretch with those. For example, you'll notice here on the toms that there's a filter going on. The harder I play, the more the filter opens. That's different for every single sample on the keyboard, so we use velocity morphing for whatever production purpose serves that given sample set the best way. Here's a high pop for you. For me, this is like one of those sort of sounds right now. I was listening to Skrillex's new album the other day, and he's using a lot of those sort of flip, plop kind of pop sounds. And this one for me here, it's just so tight and elegant. You'll notice that I'm using the velocities in the arpeggiator here to get that sort of sort of funky kind of hi-hat vibe going. So with a lot of the kits, I have them programmed so you can do octave jumps on the pitch bender. And on the mod wheel, not for all of them, but for some of them, I like to use this time trick that we just looked at before, where I can control the length of the snare, for example, or any of the sounds here. Pew pew. As with a lot of our libraries in Soundpaint, we also have main programs. These are sort of naked programs in the sense that we don't try to color it too much with effects or any other tools. This is really how the drum kits were intended in their most natural condition. The boomy sort of bass drum and the dry one on all the kits. Ooh. I love this one here. It's so clear in its attack. Very 80s sound. This next one is called Mania, and for good reason. There's a lot of stuff going on here on the mod wheel. Let me just kill the delay here and go purely into our raw distortion here, doing something like really sort of tonal to the bass drums. It's hard to describe because we're so used to single shot samples just doing what they do, but these are, as I said earlier, a little bit, to me at least, like acoustic drum kits. This next program here is a hidden gem, meaning that I'm combining two different libraries together. In this case, our draft funk combined with our also called Boogie Mars. So I'm morphing two different kits. Every single drum kit we have that's ever generated has the same layout in Soundpaint. So you know you can always morph your sources no matter what you put together. Oh, that's so cool. That's actually a clap and a snap morph together. So the wild thing here is that I'm not only morphing stuff here, but I'm also using velocity layer morphing. So 2 times 127 velocity layers morphed together just creates this awesome sort of clap to snap kind of vibe. This one here, more like a new school type of ballad. The beautiful benefits of velocity layering. If you notice here in the arp, I'm doing these sort of drops both on the hi-hat and that sort of more open hi-hat, creating all these beautiful sort of analog organic effects. Here's another one, just called 1, 2, because it's so simple. I love that little bang, like pop sound. It's funny with this sort of, also sort of filter based. So again, organic kits, it's alive. It's inside of Soundpaint. That's sort of the whole mantra of the engine here. So even with something as mundane as traditional sort of one sample loop kits, not the same in Soundpaint. Here's another sort of slow, snappy one for you. I just love the tightness of these sounds. They just sit so well and pristinely clear in the mix, and yet they have that sort of organic analog vibe to them. We also have this unique feature in Soundpaint called one-note stretch, meaning that you can take one single sound on the keyboard and stretch it all across. So I just take one sound from the kit here, again with 127 velocity layers, but fully playable on the keyboard. And just plainly down to the basics. It's really that simple sometimes. When you study top 40 production, you'll be amazed about how stringently simplistic it can be, but the ingredients, the sort of sonic quality of what they're cooking with is really high. That's why we spent about 2.5 years on creating all these different libraries here and really going in and polishing every single sample here, granted at 127 layers, but to sort of acoustic perfection. So it just feels right. It's very modern, very clean. You don't want to have too much mud in the sound. Ooh, this one here, very, very draft funky. Ooh, the snare here. I love the bam. And lastly, we got a little bit of warm distortion for you. That's very warm. Maybe too warm. You know, in studying top 40, it is about warmth and coolness at the same time. You can't have too much mud, you can't have too many elements. Everything has to be sort of pristinely clear, and that's what we're trying to do in our pop collections for Soundpaint. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this a little bit. We have a variety of different kits coming out for different styles of music, for different artists that we really admire and that we love, but always bringing something new to it, the whole analog vibe of Soundpaint as well, and the whole sample engine. So yeah,